Instead of always looking at or asking the question about what is God going to do for me or what is God going to get me, we should be asking, well, in light of what God has already done, how am I living in response to that? When I was younger, one of my pastor friends asked this during a message he was teaching. If every prayer that we prayed was answered affirmatively, like God said, yes, I'm going to do it, uh, would there be anybody besides us who would benefit from that? I always loved that. And I thought, what a great challenge and a reminder to ourselves not to be so inward focused all the time. But I've been thinking kind of along the same lines, but a slightly different angle lately. And just, when we are reading our Bibles or when we're engaging in maybe a sermon at church or uh, whatever, we're thinking about God, if we are always focused solely on what God is doing for me, what's God going to do in my life? Or, if you're somebody who finds yourself teaching in a church or preaching or, maybe teaching in a Bible study, something like that. If your teaching is always, here's what God's going to do for you, um, I think that maybe we're missing something. And it's not that God doesn't want to do things for us, and it's not that God doesn't want to help us and transform us to be more like Him, which in the process of doing that, there are things that He's going to do for us. But I think a large part of our Christian life should be recognizing what God has already done in Christ and then living in response to that. So instead of always looking at or asking the question about what is God going to do for me or what is God going to get me, then we should be asking, uh, well, in light of what God has already done, how am I living in response to that? I think it's just a way better outlook instead of thinking God is my divine slot machine that's going to spit out all the good things that I want, or vending machine rather. It's understanding God has already done more than we deserve, and we get the opportunity to live in response to that. And the way that we treat our friends and our family and the people around us, the way that we're generous with our money, generous with our time and our energy, all of those things are a response to the amazing love that God has already shown us in Christ.